Mademoiselle and ça c'est deuxième channel ouais and jeudi nous allons parler des premiers présidents de Haïti, Jean-Jacques Dessaline. Dessalines, no. Papa Dessalines, no. Pipla. I've been trying to do this video for so long. I'm so happy we're finally getting to it. As you guys know, I kind of started with Papa Doc, Baby Doc, went down the line, and now we're going all the way back to day one. Comment down below what's your favorite video I've done so far, and most importantly, comment down below what is an interesting fact that you know about any president that most people don't know, because it's so interesting digging into these presidents, their lives, what they've accomplished for Haiti, and then like just being mind blown by things that like most people don't know. Now also, if you guys are not aware, I do have a main channel, so make sure you guys go subscribe to that. I do life advice, reactions, and motivation on that channel. I also have merchandise for this channel. Make sure you guys go check it out. Everything you need is linked down below. Like, share, subscribe, share this video with a friend or 10. So let's get straight into it. So if you guys are not aware, Jean-Jacques Dessaline actually did not start out as Jean-Jacques Dessaline. His last name was actually Duclos. Now, let me just tell y'all this right now. Okay, I do not know how to say anything right. In fact, I butcher almost everything I say, whether it be English, Creole, Spanish, French, so no disrespect intended. It is actually believed that he is from Congo descent. There's not much known about his parents, and you're gonna see that with a lot of the presidents that I talk about from early on in Haiti's history. Also understand that I'm calling them presidents loosely. Jean-Jacques Dessaline, Alexandre Pétion, Henry Christophe. Realistically, a lot of these presidents kind of named themselves presidents, and they can't necessarily be considered presidents because they weren't really elected presidents by the people. They're technically emperors, dictators. Let's be real, that's really what they are, but we're just gonna use the word president to make the process a lot easier for everyone, and you know, just to simplify things, all right? It doesn't really mean that, you know, I respect them any less or whatever the case may be, but it is what it is, okay? Salier is salier, okay? Even though we do not know much about his parents, we do know he did have two brothers. We had Joseph and there was Louis, and they did later on take part in his office. Now, another interesting point about all the other presidents I'm going to be talking about around this time is all of them started out as slaves for the most part and lived their entire life as slaves until they were able to break free during the Haitian Revolution, or they bought their freedom. In this case, he was actually bought by an affranchi. Now, in the research, it says either it was a free black man or a mixed person. Comment down below to clarify, because I see conflicting results on this, but nonetheless, that is where he picked up the last name Dessalines. I believe two of his brothers also picked up those last names as well, and they all became Dessalines. And while he was there, he actually rose to the ranks, okay? He was out here, and he always had a very fiery spirit. And while he was working in the fields, because that was his main job, he was a laborer in the fields, he rose to the rank of commander or foreman. Although people know Dessalines as fearless, cutthroat, strong like a bull, strong as all hell, like hell hath no fury than Dessalines, this is because he was treated so horribly as a slave. Just like most people in Haiti at the time, and most black people at the time in general, this is what fueled his desire to break free from all slavery and eradicate slavery for good, especially on the island of Haiti, or at the time, Hispaniola. For the most part, every time I talk about Haiti at this time, I always just call it Haiti because nobody got time to be, oh, Hispaniola. Like, the island was Hispaniola. There was no Haiti in DR, but Hispaniola. But we're just gonna say Haiti because mainly we're talking about Haiti here, right? Haiti in particular was called Saint-Domingue. A lot of things were going on, and it was a lot of desperation to be free. It was a lot of desperation to be treated fairly. It was a lot of desperation to just be treated human. So by 1791, this is around the time the revolution had really picked up traction. And by then he had met Toussaint Louverture, and he actually did not know how to read and write at the time, but Toussaint Louverture really helped him out, and he really took him under his wing. Now, these men could not be more different. Toussaint Louverture was very cool, calm, collected, Dr. Martin Luther King like. Jean-Jacques Dessaline was more rational, cutthroat, more about the violence, more about action, no talking, we gotta get shit done, okay? I don't want to negotiate, I don't want to do any of that. Now, there's something I need to explain to you guys before we move on that honestly I really didn't know and take into account until I was looking into the research for this video. Now, when it came to Hispaniola at the time, there was a lot of wars going on in the world in general, and one of the main wars that was going on was the French War. French was beefing with everybody, all right? And part of France's war was with Spain and I believe with Britain. Honestly, they was beefing with everybody, all right? And they actually had a Hispaniola army, okay? And they enlisted a lot of slaves and a lot of other people on the Hispaniola grounds in order to fight in this Hispaniola army. So technically it was a French army, but it was kind of like a subsidiary type of army, but it wasn't. Long story short, they used slave labor for their militia with the promise of, if you guys fight for us and you help us basically secure this island. Hispaniola was kind of split into two, right? So Spain owned part of it at one point. Then I believe there was other foreign entities that owned part of it or were trying to gain more parts of it. So they were basically like, hey, if you fight with us and you help us secure more parts of this island, we will eradicate slavery. We will never have slavery again. We will make sure we never treat you guys poorly. Now, what they really wanted was, of course, to eradicate slavery. But if you guys did not watch my Haitian Revolution video, you guys should definitely watch that because it's going to go into this in detail without the military part, but more so what everyone was genuinely fighting for. So when it came to the affranchis, the mixed people, the free black people, stuff like that, they were very upset at the fact that a lot of them were richer than the white people. A lot of them bought their freedom and they were not seen as equal to their white counterparts, okay? They were treated like garbage. They were forced to fight in this free militia without even being asked. Like, they were just automatic forced to be in it depending on their class or depending on like who they were, but a lot of them were forced to be in it depending on their age. It was one of those things, I remember back in the day in the United States where like you were automatically drafted into war. That's what the French would do to the mixed people and the free black people. If they were a certain age, they would automatically draft them into war for this Hispaniola army bullshit. So that was one thing. Then when it came to the white people, they had all this land, all of these goods that they were importing and exporting into Hispaniola, but they could not import or export to any other country but France. So their money and their income was limited to France. So if France had an issue, if France wasn't taking this, that, and the third, they were limited. Their shit was capped. And it's like, how the fuck you gonna tell people how to make their money? And then of course we have the slaves who have every damn right. Haiti was literally the worst place for slavery at the time, to the point where anybody in the world, if you were winning a war and you wanted to punish your prisoners of war, you sent them to Haiti. If you had a slave who misbehaved and you wanted them to start acting right, you sent them to Haiti. That's how bad the slavery in Haiti was. So everybody in Haiti, in terms of like whether you were black, white, mixed, whatever, had a reason to be genuinely mad with the French right now. So this war was one of those things where they were like, hey, if you help us fight, we're gonna make sure all your problems go away. But of course they lied, okay? They lied because they weren't really about to do shit. So all these people basically joined this army, this military, whatever the case may be, with the goal of, okay, all of our problems are going to be fixed. They're going to eradicate slavery. And among them were Toussaint Louverture, Jacques Dessaline, I believe Alexandre Pétion, Henry Christophe. Like, there was all the forefathers was there. Okay, they was kicking it. They was like, hey, yo, this sounds like a good deal. Everybody was on board. We're basically going to do this and then we're going to take over. Little did they know, the French cannot be trusted. Okay, this is why when it comes to like Haitian people now kissing the ass of the French, I just can't. I will not take it. I will not allow it. Toussaint Louverture was very much so, you know, we understand that maybe this may not go the way that we wanted to, but let's make peace. Let's reason. Let's, you know, talk it out. Let's see what they can do for us, because this is gonna get out of hand. Jean-Jacques Dessaline was like, burn it to the ground. Fuck you talk about burning it to the ground. Even though they all had the common goal, right? All the forefathers had a common goal of, we need to eradicate slavery. Toussaint Louverture and anyone that was on that whole side of let's reason with the French, and then the other side of nope, burn everything down, fuck them all. It was very, very but everyone had a common goal, right? We will eradicate slavery, get the motherfuckers off the island by any means necessary. We'll deal with it later. As you guys are gonna see in the next coming videos when I talk about the other presidents, and other issues that Haiti faced, I feel like they should have planned this out completely, but I feel like they only planned the revolution part, right? They reestablished slavery. I believe it was Guadeloupe and Martinique, and I believe they're still French territories to this day, which, oh my fucking god, that shit pisses me off. But anyway, I do want to visit those places. I heard they're fucking gorgeous. But anyhow, they reestablished slavery in Guadeloupe and Martinique, and that really set the Haitians off. Like, they were really, really mad, and that's when the fighting really took off. Now, even though what I told you was very interesting information, this is where a lot of the whole conflict comes in if Toussaint Louverture was set up by Jean-Jacques Dessaline. Now, a lot of people say that maybe Toussaint Louverture wasn't set up and the French just caught him, and it is what it is. Some people say Jean-Jacques Dessaline was set up and that's how Toussaint Louverture got caught. But nonetheless, I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys. You guys are gonna find out more about that in my Toussaint Louverture video. But if you guys are not aware, Toussaint Louverture was captured, sent to jail, tortured, and then he was killed. There's a lot of information up in the air regarding who did what, how did that happen, how was he captured, who snitched about where his whereabouts were. A lot of people say it was Jean-Jacques Dessaline who gave him up. Was it Jean-Jacques Dessaline that said, okay, well, this is where he gonna be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He gonna be up in the hills. Like, did he do that so he can get into power? Or was he set up to do that? Was he with him and he was captured with? Like, comment down below, what do you think? Jean-Jacques Dessaline went about things later on in his presidency, and then just to think about how shit went down, I do feel like low-key, high-key, he might have set him up. When you guys finish this video, you can draw your conclusions, and then when you watch my Toussaint Louverture video, you can also draw your conclusions from that as well. So during this whole battle, or whatever the case may be, somebody's gonna have to teach me how to say it. This word, the battle of Veritueux, or whatever. To walk it back a little bit before all of this happened, Toussaint Louverture was appointed the governor attorney of the north of Haiti because he was basically doing a good job capturing all of these colonies or whatever for French rule against Spain and against the British with the help of Jean-Jacques Dessaline. But Toussaint Louverture really kept his allegiance to France the entire time, and Jean-Jacques Dessaline did not like that, along with other people. It wasn't just him. It was just kind of like a conflict of interest. It's like, okay, so we want to eradicate slavery from these people, but you're sitting here like pledging allegiance to them, like, for what? For what? What made things worse is this made Dessalines have a growing resentment towards white people, mixed people, and you're gonna hear about this later on in the video. So you guys can imagine, I love this man, right? He has basically helped me read and write. He's appointed me so many amazing opportunities under his, you know, troops and armies or whatever the case may be. We're conquering so much land and colonies under the French, who is basically killing our brothers and sisters. And, you know, we should be doing this shit on our own and conquering this shit on our own because we're working under massa, and I can't convince him otherwise because he believes in doing this the peaceful way. I don't fuck with it. So I can see, like, just thinking about it, if I put myself in his position, I wouldn't know what to do. I don't know. I'd probably lock him up somewhere until the whole thing was over. I don't know about setting him up to be killed, but then back in the day, we already know how that shit was set up, okay? It was either kill or be killed type shit. And these people were mad barbaric. Like, you fucking die over taking somebody's piece of bread back in the day. Like, shit was mad extra. So after Toussaint Louverture was captured and killed, Jean-Jacques Dessaline took over, and on January 1st, 1804, he declared Haiti a free country. He served as Governor General since November 30th in 1803. But now, in the new constitution that he ended up drafting up for the new government, he made himself Governor General for life. I thought that, like, you know, the shit got fucked up somewhere down the line. No. Dessalines me respecte, but el la problème la como c'est. I'm not even gonna stunt. Homeboy had an ego problem. It sounds like a real bad ego problem. It sounds like most Haitian men have an ego problem, to be honest with you. Governor General for life, nigga. What the fuck? What? Oh, it gets worse though. After the whole General for Life thing, he was only in that role until September 22, 1804. After that, he was named the Emperor for Life, y'all, of Haiti by the Haitian generals of the army. I don't know who the fuck fuck gave the Haitian generals of the army any type of power, but at the end of the day, they did just chop a bunch of heads off, okay? There was the slinging slashers. So I mean, hey, I'm sure everybody was afraid. They wasn't gonna mess with them. They was like, hey, Papa, I'm doing it. Okay, you just killed a whole bunch of Europeans. Alright, on January 1st, 1804, from the city of Gonaïves, shout out to all the Haitians from Gonaïves, I have lots of friends from Gonaïves, he declared Haiti, renamed it Haiti, a free country, the first free, independent black republic. And this was extremely monumental. I've talked about it numerous times before. Of course, people were not happy. You guys can watch my past videos on that. A lot of people did not recognize this independence till about 1865, I believe. But hey, they were still free. Now he renamed it Haiti, which was Haiti's original indigenous name. But Haiti had at least like 5 different names during this whole entire time. Not official names, but it was called a couple of names. Gotta give a quick shout out to Agui, who helped Europeans, the rest of the Europeans, get off by way of the water. Respect. Shout outs to the Polish that also helped us. Respect. Shout outs to everybody else that helped us that I'm not gonna have time to talk about in this video. It's gonna have to be a whole separate video in itself because there's a lot of entities that helped us that a lot of people do not discuss. But anyways, let's keep going. So now let's talk about his presidency, which is always fun, right? Jean-Jacques Dessaline as a president was no different than him in the military, okay? He wasn't playing any games. And remember that little resentment that I said that he held against white people and mixed people? You thought that went away? Oh, of course not. That didn't go away. He ordered the massacring of all the rest of the white people on the island, except for the Polish, because the Polish actually helped Haiti gain independence. So they were actually granted a piece of land, and they were granted residency, and they were actually deemed as a noir, okay? They are black. And any other whites that were not killed were also named black. You are on that island, you are black. It is written in our official independent documents. So shout out to you, you are now an honorary black person. To add insult to injury, in order to keep Haiti's economy afloat, he ordered all the black people to go back to the fields. That's right. Yeah, honestly, he wasn't the only president that did this, okay? He did this. I believe Alexandre Pétion did this. Henry Christophe did this as well. Personally, I think this is extremely problematic, but at the same time, I understand why they needed to do this. But this kind of backfired with a lot of Haitians actually fleeing to the mountains and becoming marooned because they were like, bitch, you're not about to tell me what the fuck to do. Forced people to get back to the fields and get back to work in order to keep up Haiti's economy. Because as I've said previously in other videos, Haiti was the top colony for exporting sugar, coffee, indigo, and whatever else. They had to keep that up. Even though a lot of people didn't really fuck with them, they were still wanting to, you know, create and mend those relationships. They didn't want those relationships to go away. And they were able to keep up that appearance and all of those imports and exports or whatever with slaves. Dessalines said, y'all gonna work today. Now, most societies have a middle class, upper class, lower class, and then maybe some classes in between. See, even to this day, Haiti don't really have distinct classes. You either rich or you poor. And I believe Haiti's economy started out the same exact way. Okay, they had the gens de couleur who were more affluent. They lived in town, they owned businesses, they were in politics, finance, things like that. And of course, they were the upper echelon, the upper class, the elite class, as we like to call them. I believe Haiti is about the same way now. Not much has changed there. And of course, there was a lot of tension there. And even though most of the white people have been killed, there was a lot of tension with the white people that were left, okay? When it came to Dessalines killing the white people on the island, whatever, it was mainly people of diplomacy, right? People who have higher status, people who are directly connected to French rule, British rule, Spaniard rule, people that were of that statute, right? It wasn't like regular white civilians. It wasn't those people, to clarify, because I know there's a lot of historians who kind of like to misconstrue what happened and said that he was like cutting the heads off of babies and shit. That's not how that went. It was literally a bunch of people that were of higher power who could have literally overthrown the government and put Haiti back into slavery. And to add to that, it had a lot to do with a lot of them them, especially on Dominican Republic side, who were sitting here threatening to basically put Haiti back into slavery. There were a lot of people that were over there that was like, oh, well, y'all think y'all free? We gonna come back over there and show y'all who the fuck is boss. So this was happening since even before Haiti was established free. Like, there was people threatening to come over there and enslave them again. So they were not playing. They did not want to take any chances of everything going back to the way it was. A lot of people felt like it wasn't fair that there was even a divide, because it was like, we just fought for our independence. We just fought for everything to be fair. And now it's seeming that everything has been left for it to be unfair still, for us to still be fighting to basically stay alive. And it doesn't really make sense, because there's still a very, very unequal play here. And even worse, as I said, right, all the white people were ordered off the island, but there were still some whites left. He forbade any other white people to come on that island. Even worse, he forbade them to own any land or own any property. And this was an extreme way to prevent any type of slavery happening ever again. And I think that's kind of fucked up, because not only is, I don't care what anyone says, black people can't be racist, that's racist. That's very racist. But I understand it. I understand the need for it. I understand why he did it. I understand it. It was justified. Is it racist? Yes. Is it wrong? Yes. Would I have done it? No. But I think it was justified in this case. Also, when it comes to this whole situation, forcing people into agricultural labor is extremely problematic. It was called agricultural militarism. Now, most of Haiti or Saint-Domingue, Hispaniola, whatever you guys want to call it, money came from France, because what did I say in the beginning? France forbade anybody on Hispaniola, or whatever the case may be, to export, import from anywhere but them, right? So now it was no more France, because like I said, pent-up aggression, mad as fuck. And then even at that, you really think France wanna fuck with us again? You always is on me on call. They said, we're not talking to y'all. So Dessalines preferred trading with the United States and Britain anyway. And let's just say that did not work out, because nobody wanted to talk to Haiti after that. Like, you done inspired all the slaves to revolt. Like, I don't know what they thought they were doing, but clearly that didn't work out either. So just think about it. You have a whole bunch of Haitians that fought for their freedom, and now that they've been granted their freedom, they think that they can do whatever they want because they're free. But no, since they're poor and they don't have anything to their names, they're forced to work back on the fields or be in the military. No other choice. It was all bad. It was bad before, it's bad now. So now everybody's mad at Dessalines. Everybody's mad at the government. Everybody's mad at the French for getting them in this situation in the first place. They're like, damn, if you guys were just nicer, we wouldn't be in these predicament. I mean, on the bright side, he did actually give his former master, the one that was an affranchi mixed person or black person, I couldn't really find out who it was that I mentioned before, he did give him a job in his government. And you know, when it came to his government, he was actually pretty diligent in who he hand selected. Of course, he needed well-educated, well-versed people to be part of his government. He picked as many distinguished black people as he can, but people were terrified. Let's be real. Like, a lot of people at this time did think that he set up Louverture. And then, you know, you got all of this hoopla going on in the regular days with the regular folk in the regular towns or whatever. You think people want to be part of his government? No, they fleeing. A lot of these people are fleeing to the hills to get away from this shit. They don't even want to be part of the government. Do you understand? Imagine right now, like we in 2022, imagine, you know how many benefits you get from being a government official? Just think about it right now. Okay, I know a lot of us don't like Biden. Shit, a lot of us didn't like Trump. Shit, a lot of us didn't like Obama. A lot of us don't like certain presidents, right? But still, we have to agree. Lots of benefits come with being in the government. Imagine right now, they're like, okay, we're hand selecting people to be part of the government. And you don't like the president so bad. This reminds me of Trump. You don't like the president so bad that you flee to not be part of the government. That's exactly what was going on. Shit, but on the bright side, they did actually abolish slavery. They were the first country to do so. So clap it up. Clap it up. Clap it up. See, that's lit. That's really lit. At least they did that. Even though technically forcing former slaves who fought for their freedom to work on plantations afterward is technically, in my opinion, a form of slavery. It technically wasn't slavery because they were getting paid. Isn't that considered indentured servitude? Okay, maybe they did it in a different way. Correct me if I'm wrong. They probably did it in a different way. I actually didn't look too much into that because I was just shocked by it. But, I mean, it's not slavery if they're getting paid for it. So we're getting to the assassination situation. Now, I've seen so many different stories regarding how Jean-Jacques Dessaline was assassinated. I genuinely do not understand why no one has a clear rendition of this. Yes, it was a very, very long time ago, but I would assume the first president, they would kind of keep a record of how this was done, unless there was a plot and somebody was being a very sneaky, deceitful, ain't shit motherfucker. I don't know. That's what it sounds like. It is believed that he died in Pont Rouge for the Prince. That's something that a lot of people can agree on. October 17, 1806. 2 years, which is crazy. I'm like, shit, you didn't even have a real presidency, let alone emperorship, dictatorship, or anything. It is believed that Alexandre Pétion and Henry Christophe began a conspiracy to overthrow Jean-Jacques Dessaline and his government. Now, at Lanarge, on his way to fight the rebels, he was killed. We do not know how. I saw that his body was dismembered and mutilated. I saw that he was captured and then there was a blow to the head. I saw that died like literally while trying to break up a fight between some mulattoes. Some people say he was killed at Pétion's house at Le Tumult during a meeting to negotiate, you know, where Haiti was gonna go next. Some people say he was just shot. Honestly, I don't even understand why there's not one story. Nonetheless, it is said that there is a woman named Défilé that actually saw the body of Jean-Jacques Dessaline and gave him a proper burial. There is a popular national anthem called La Dessaline that is in his honor, and the day, October 17, is a national holiday in Haiti. Henry Christophe and Alexandre Pétion were actually elected into office shortly after this. This shit don't make no goddamn sense. I don't know how someone can literally conspire to murder a president and then become president. Do people have no respect? Honestly, I don't know if Dessalines was that bad and people were that upset that they just let that happen. If people were that afraid of them that they let that happen. If people just didn't give a shit and they let that happen. But I can't wait to look into the two of them. I don't know. I think they're just gonna get their own respective videos because I feel like it's gonna be too long if I try to do both of them together. But Jesus Christ. Funny enough, I believe Henry Christophe is actually the direct ancestor of Papa Doc's son's wife. I forgot her name right now. You guys can comment down below if you remember her name, but that's very interesting information, right? But anyhow, back to Dessalines. So if you guys are not aware, Dessalines is actually a Loire. He is Ogon Dessalines, and he's a very spicy Loire, just like he was spicy in person, which makes him a very, very important person, not only in history, but in Haitian spirituality and the Haitian voodoo religion. His Catholic veneration is Saint Jacques, and he can also be compared to African voodoo Loire Ogu. I will probably do a separate video on him as a voodoo Loire. I really haven't heard much about him as a voodoo Loire like that. I heard he was in passing, but I don't know. Probably have to ask around for that one. But with that being said, comment down below, what did you think about the information in this video? Is there anything you guys can offer? What do you guys think about the whole Louverture and Dessalines little battle war situation between them two? Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, do all that, and I'm gonna see y'all next time. Bye!